Welcome to episode 2 of Vibecoding a mobile app. We're going to take the idea that we had in episode 1 and throw it into Claude Code to build an iOS app. I couldn't believe how easy it was. It was a few prompts and about 30 minutes of work. And so if you stay to the end of this video, you'll have the prompts and the workflow you need to build your own iOS app. So let's dive in. All right, so here we go. So we are in episode 2, and today we're actually going to build the app. So to give a little bit of an overview of where we left off in the last video, in episode 1, we discussed the idea for the app that we're going to make. So for the app that we're trying to build, we are trying to build a what to eat for dinner app. So it's like Tinder. You and your partner will both have accounts. You'll be linked, and then you'll both be prompted with meal options, and you'll swipe right if you want it. You'll swipe left if you don't want it. If you both swipe right on the same meal, you'll be prompted and you'll have the recipe and you'll be ready to go. So that's the app that we're trying to build. Originally, I was thinking that I would go and make an app for both iOS and Android, but after trying this out on a separate app that I built, I think it's just gonna be a lot easier just to start for iOS to start. And in order to do that, if you wanna follow along, we are gonna be using Xcode. Xcode is how you build iOS apps with Swift. And then we're gonna connect that to Claude Code. So just like building a web app within Claude Code, we're just gonna connect the project that was built in Xcode that will have the structure that we need. And then we'll be able to go back and forth between Claude Code and then actually run the app in the simulator so we can see what it looks like on an iPhone. So as I was getting this going, my wife had a great idea for a different app, which is, I'll show you right now to show you the direction that we're gonna go in. But she had an app to help parents find babysitters. So instead of care.com, where you go on as the parent to look for a babysitter or a nanny, you really don't know the sitters. You're just relying on what their reviews are in care.com. To be more reliant on your direct network of friends. So you would go into the app as a parent and you would invite other parents. If that parent accepts your invite, you would then have access to a list of their babysitters. So you can see that I have one parent in my friend circle, and then through that I have a combination of five sitters. So some of those are mine and some of those are my friend's connection. And then I would just go in and I would select a time that I would want a babysitter, 3 hours, and then I'd be able to see the available sitters, and then I'd be able to request and book a request for a booking. And so what I thought was amazing about this was that I had zero experience building apps, mobile apps before. So when I first started trying to do the dinner app, I was thinking like, okay, I'm just gonna follow the same approach that I had building web apps, but it is a totally different process. It's actually not that bad, but as long as you have Xcode up front and then connect that to Claude Code, you're definitely on your way. So take this as proof. This is the direction that we're gonna go in, but I got an app, I don't know, a couple hours worth of messing around up here, ready to go. So use this as a direction of where we're going. But yeah, so we'll go back to what we're doing. And so in this video, we're gonna use a few tools. So we're gonna use ChatGPT to really define the MVP. And then we're gonna also define the starter prompt that we're gonna hand to Claude Code. We're gonna launch a project in Xcode, and then we're gonna have Claude Code build the mobile app, and then we'll use Simulator with Xcode to actually test the mobile app. And then back in episode 1, we were following the playbook. So we're still going along the playbook. I think in episode 1, I probably should have a more defined MVP laid out, but we're gonna do that now. And then, yeah, back in episode 1, we created the landing page with the waitlist. So we can see that here. So we had a landing page, and it discusses the app at a high level and allowed people to sign up for a waitlist. So today we're gonna finish the MVP, and then we're gonna actually get into the Vibecoding build loop. So with that, let's jump in. All right, so we're gonna start with ChatGPT 5.1. I still think with all the model releases, I still think this is the best thought partner. So throughout the build, we're gonna keep coming back to ChatGPT 5.1 to check in and use it as a co-founder. We'll let Claude do the Opus 4.5 do the coding, but we're really gonna be doing the brainstorming and just thinking through ideas with ChatGPT 5.1, because that's my experience has been the best. And then a quick little tip before we actually start prompting. There's a couple changes that help out a lot when dealing with ChatGPT 5.1. So if you go to your settings and then personalization, I like changing the base style and tone to candid. And then in the custom instructions, I have be extremely direct and not afraid of offending me. You can tell when I'm wrong. Tell me when there are better ways to do things. And basically, we want to try to get the best outcome possible. And I don't want to be glazed. I don't want to be pumped up for bad ideas. So this came from Alex Finn. So shout out to him for the custom instructions. But since I've been using this, I think the outcomes have been a lot better. It is a little annoying because you'll get pushback on everything, even if that doesn't necessarily need pushback, but I think that's better than the overall, just the sycophantic glazing that would happen just with the factory settings. Okay, so with that, we're going to try to create our MVP. So I have a prompt that I was working on that I'm going to send in to get the MVP. I can put that in the comments if you guys are interested, but we can just let that rip. Okay, so we got the MVP. In the MVP, I specified that we want to make sure that we're just going to start with iOS to start. And then for me to be able to prove this out successfully, I want myself to be able to have it on my phone, my wife to be able to have it on her phone. And then if the two of us can use the app and get the swipes to work and decide on a meal, I think that's going to be a win for me. And I'll define that as we've reached the MVP 1 and we can move on to bigger and better things. But that's what I laid out in here. And I also tried to make it as simple as possible. I did still want to use Supabase and user accounts, which might bring in a little bit of complexity. But to start, let's see here. So the core stack, so we're using iOS, we're using Swift, we're using Xcode. We're going to use Supabase for the backend. And then we'll be using TestFlight, I believe, to have my wife and I both test out the app on our actual phones and not the simulator. Yeah, so we get an idea. So this is going to be the MVP. So we're going to give this to Claude when we start, but we're also going to want to ask one for a starter prompt to get going in Claude Code. So let's see. So can you please give me a starter prompt to build the MVP of the app in Claude Code? I don't have to sign in to test the app at first. Hopefully we can just get something up on the screen really quick. Okay, so we'll send that. And then while ChatGPT creates the prompt, the first step is to go over to Xcode. So if you don't have Xcode, just download that from your app store. And then when you're in Xcode, you're just going to want to go to File, New Project. And then it's really simple. So we're going to create an iOS app. We're going to create an app. So you want to have both of those selected. You click Next. And then we're going to name our product, which I don't really have a perfect name yet. So I'm going to put I'll just do dinner app for now. We don't need a team for now. Some of this stuff is going to be used for later down the line when we actually submit the app to the App Store for approval. But for now, this is all fine because you can change it later down the road. But yeah, organization identifiers, that's fine. Swift language, Swift UI, Swift. Yep, and then we're just going to click Next. And then we're just going to create. Okay, so Xcode starts the project foundation and the structure and puts some starter text in for Hello World. So we want to be able to build the app to make sure that we see that. And if that's working in the simulator, then we're on our way and we can switch to Claude Code to actually start the build. So for now, we're going to run the app to make sure it builds properly. And at the top right here, you can see what is happening in the simulator. All right, so the iPhone is going to show what's going on. Okay, so we have Hello World. So the app, the dinner app, all it is right now is just a Hello World text with a little icon, but that works, and so we're good to go. So now we can go back and get our starter prompt from ChatGPT. So let's just review that really quickly. Your Claude Code, acting as a senior iOS developer. I'm building an app. For this version, I do not want to manually sign in the test app. Sure, that works. Swipe for dinner. Kind of goes over the ideas. Tech stack. Yep. Okay, so we're going to copy all this, and then we are going to head to Visual Studio, and we need to open up that project that we just created in Xcode. Okay, so we have the project that we just opened, or we opened the project that Xcode I just created. We're just going to launch Claude Code really quick. Just, restart. Okay, so we have Claude Code ready to go. We're going to paste in the prompt from ChatGPT, and then really quickly, we are going to put it into plan mode to start, and then let's let that rip. Actually, the only thing I want to make sure really fast is I just want to go back, just make sure that Claude Code knows that we started the app in Xcode and start the X in Xcode. Okay, so before we go let Claude go nuts, we just want to make sure that Claude's aware that we did already start the project in Xcode. So let's get an updated prompt. Okay, so we have the starter prompt, we adjusted the starter prompt to make sure that Claude was aware that the project's already been started in Xcode, so we don't want to recreate anything. So we'll take that over back to VS Code to type in, gonna get rid of the one that wasn't aware that we already started the project, paste in the new one. So we're still gonna be in plan mode, and let's let Claude Opus 4.5 go nuts on that. When I built the sitter circle app, it one-shotted the entire thing in the first time, so that was amazing. So hopefully we get a similar experience with the dinner app here. And then while plan mode is working, I just realized that we forgot to actually put in the MVP, which I want to put in as a markdown file within the project so that we have that as a North Star and we don't get caught going crazy with feature creep. So let's see here. Don't want the actual. Oh, I had ChatGPT give me the. I'm just going to ask for a new updated MVP without the implementation plan because we already have the implementation plan going. Can you give me an updated MVP that I can hand to Claude Code that doesn't include the implementation plan and accounts for everything we discussed above? All right, so let's check back in on the plan. So let's see here. Okay, so we have the plan, implementing a swipe for dinner MVP app inside of an existing dinner app Xcode. This allows two paired users to swipe yes, no on meals. Match is shown when both users select the same meal. Yes. File structure to create implementation steps. Add yep, okay. Create the data models, create Supabase manager, modify the current. Okay, so I'm gonna say, make sure to use the front end design Claude Code skill everywhere you can. Okay, so also make a markdown file for the following MVP. Take out the last little bit because we didn't need that. Okay, and then let's see what plan mode does with that. And then, okay, so it's gonna say proceed with skill. That's the Claude skill for front-end design that we wanted. So we're gonna say yes and don't ask again. Implementation steps. Okay, so we are going to let that rip. This will probably take a little bit, so we'll skip ahead. But when this is done, hopefully we can click build in Xcode and see the app. Okay, so that ran for about 15 minutes. Claude just wrapped up here. So implementation is complete. The file is created and modified, design aesthetic. Okay. And then, okay. Yeah, so I didn't really want to get into the configuration of the Supabase on this video, but we'll see if this will run without the Supabase setup. If not, we'll have to set that up really quickly and then test. All right, so we're going to go now to Xcode. And so you can see all the files and the folders that Claude had created. So click run. Okay, so the build failed. So we're just gonna copy and paste these errors over to Claude. Got these errors in Xcode. I haven't figured Supabase yet. So let's see. I was really hoping I was going to go 2 for 2 here with the one-shotted approach with Opus 4.5, but it's okay. It's just part of the process here. So here we are. It says it's good, so we're going to try to do the build one more time in Xcode. Let's let that run. Okay, the build succeeded message. That's a good sign. Okay, here we go. Oh, what happened? Authentication error, failed to authenticate. Test is invalid. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So we'll copy that, head back over to Claude Code and say that we got an error. We got an error when the app launched. Okay, so it looks like there's a piece that we have to do in Supabase. Let's say, so authentication providers email. Confirm email, turn that off, save changes. All right, now let's try another time in Xcode. All right, so we have a page, swipe for dinner, taco night. All right, so let's see. So we have, there is a swipe motion. So that's a no. The swipe worked. Okay, that's awesome. A little bit of laggy here. Looks like we have 2. Is it laggy? I can't tell if there's 2. Yeah, veggie stir fry homemade pizza. It's probably using glass. Okay, so let's try to see if we can still swipe. No. All right, I can't swipe, but can I say no? Yes. Can say yes. Can say no. Can say no. Yes. No. All right, what other options do we have? Matches. Does matches bring me anywhere? There's no matches yet. Okay. So it's like showing 2. I think because of the Apple Glass, it's showing 2. You can see through the card basically to see what the recipes are behind it. So let's take a screenshot of that, put the image in, see what that says. All right, let's see if that worked. Let's run Xcode one more time. All right, taco night is a yes. Yes, there we go. And we have a meal behind it. Salmon rice bowl, yes. Pasta carbonara, yes. Veggie stir fry, no. Boom, love it. Okay, so that's a perfect place to end this episode. In the next video, we will try to get this cleaned up, then a little bit more functional and ready to use with another user. So we'll try to get this fixed up and installed on 2 phones using TestFlight. And then if that goes well, we will submit the app to the iOS store for review. So if you want to see that, make sure you like and subscribe so you can follow along. And if you have any comments that you want to see to make improvements to the app, or if you have any pointers or suggestions on building iOS apps, definitely leave a comment in the comment section. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.